Coming up, the Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim involved in a shooting over the weekend. And farmers in the 4 states not only have to deal with the heat wave bearing down on the region, but so do their crops. We'll take a look at how some local farmers are trying to beat the heat.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Buck.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is going to be hot. It's going to stay hot. I mean, that's really all I can say at this point. I mean, that is your forecast is hot.
And not just hot, but unbearable hot.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got heat advisories for all the counties in orange, which is practically all of us. It's not on this map because it'll kick into effect a little later today, but northeast Oklahoma goes back under an excessive heat warning this afternoon. I really just don't have any good news except for right now. 7th and Range Line in Joplin, 75. It's kind of the last decent morning we're going to have for a while, unfortunately. Yeah, look at this. We're all starting off pretty decently. Lower 60s to even the mid 70s, but take a look at that. Unpleasant to say the least. Going into the lower 100s for afternoon highs today under sunny skies. The southeast breeze 5 to 10 will become west. And then as the night progresses, this is what I was talking about. It's really not going to cool off that much, dropping down to overnight lows in the upper 70s to lower 80s. And then I don't want to show you this, but I kind of have to. 7-day forecast. We've thrown up alert days simply because it is going to be so hot. I mean, and look at next Monday even. If that holds, if it stays that way, 108 for the high. Otherwise, we are in triple digits all week long. The good news is tomorrow, so late tonight, early tomorrow, some folks in southeast Kansas might get a stray shower.
Ooh.
Maybe. I mean, it's going to be extremely isolated. Otherwise, it's going to stay hot. It's going to stay dry. And we've got some time before this heat wave is going to break.
Can I just assume you ran out of little red boxes that say alert day for the final ones?
We are only allotted so many alert days, so many alert day boxes. And, it's just...
We've hit our limit.
It's one of those things, the further out we go, there's hope that these temperatures could adjust down a little bit. But right now, they're not trending that way. And it's just going to be... No. That's how it's going to be.
Pretty much you're warning us to prepare for the long haul.
Yeah, and that's, in all honesty, we'll take a look at the 10-day forecast too, and it's not got any better news in it, but it is important to let folks know that this is not going to go away anytime soon.
Ouch. All right, thanks, Chris. Joplin Police Department has released the name, of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. Man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin has been identified as Carthage resident 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in the crash. The intense heat is causing issues for a family of farmers in Cherokee County, Kansas. The Watson family is getting ready to harvest their soybeans next month, but the lack of rain is impacting those crops. They're also dealing with a weed issue, which takes water from their soybeans. Jared Watson says the heat is drying weeds, making them harder to kill with chemicals, which can be costly.
With everything the way it's been with any product, chemicals no different. It's been hard to get, and when you can get it, it's plenty expensive. So it adds up quick, and anytime you got to go over the field, it costs.
Later in the show, our own Yana Hatula talks to one local family on their efforts to keep their crops alive. Joplin is opening 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers. They are City Hall, 602 South Main, the Health Department at 321 East 4th, and the Public Safety Center at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will remain open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Number one, stay out of the heat if at all possible. Number two, if you have to be out, make it as short a time as possible. Stay hydrated, get some good electrolytes into you, find some air conditioning as best you can.
For more tips on how to stay safe in the heat, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Miami Public Library will also serve as a cooling station. The library is open through the week during the day and also on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is closed, though, on Sundays. Also, to find a cooling station near you, you can go to our website or download our mobile app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. The penalty phase is underway in Florida in the deadliest mass shooting case to reach a U.S. jury. A panel of 7 men and 5 women will decide whether the gunman in the 2018 Parkland school massacre lives or dies, in a process that is expected to last months. Ted Scouten has more from the courthouse in Fort Lauderdale.
The murders were cold, calculated, and premeditated.
Florida prosecutors began their opening statements using Parkland shooter Nicholas Cruz's own words from a social media post against him.
This is what the defendant said. Hello, my name is Nick. I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018.
Legal experts say that premeditation will be tough for the defense to overcome.
Not only did this young man, plan it and think about it and act it out in a manner that is consistent with someone who's planned it and thought about it, but he actually posted 2 videos on social media describing exactly what he's going to do.
Cruz, now 23, pleaded guilty to killing 17 people in the 2018 massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, but his defense team is contesting his sentence.
They are trying to focus on any kind of a mental condition that he had, short of rendering him insane.
The case has faced repeated delays due to the pandemic, legal wranglings, and the lengthy process of trying to find 12 jurors out of a pool of more than 1,000 people. But now, the families are finally getting their day in court.
I have my feelings of what I hope happens at this trial.
This is Linda Beagle-Schulman's first time being in the same room as her son Scott's murderer.
Sitting in the courtroom quietly and keeping my emotions to myself is probably going to be very difficult.
Families will see and hear disturbing images and videos during this penalty phase, which is expected to last 4 months. For the gunman to get life in prison, the defense team only needs to convince 1 juror to spare his life. Ted Scouten, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale.
Before opening statements got underway, a juror denied discussing the defendant or the death penalty, as was alleged in an affidavit put before the court.
We're starting off pretty nice today. It's not going to stay that way for long. Mid-60s to mid-70s across the board, and this is what I mean as we go through the day. Temperatures pushing into the lower 100s with a southeast breeze at about 5 to 10. It'll become west by the afternoon, and temperatures not dropping off much tonight either. We're going to see lows in the upper 70s to lower 80s. And I look at that future track, you see some cloud cover. This is what we were talking about earlier. Some of our counties in southeast Kansas may see a stray shower or two, maybe even up to the north around Nevada and Stockton, but we're talking this is extremely isolated in nature what we may see. And because of that, and because of limited cloud cover as well, temperatures tomorrow pushing right back into the lower 100s for afternoon highs. So it's going to be unpleasant. We talked about it yesterday, the only good news for people is there's low humidity, low dew points, therefore heat index values won't be pushing extreme amounts. But the temperatures on their own, even in dry heat, are going to be very extreme. And because it's a dry heat, it's not good for crops. It's not good for the drought situation, which we'll go over. It's just, it's a bad situation all around, and it is here to stay for a while.
That's what it sounds like. Wow. Not pleasant for sure.
No, not at all.
What is pleasant is having you here on the morning show with us.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm starting to adapt to this schedule.
And eventually it won't always be heat, so people won't be hating you for that.
Right. I feel like, as soon as I officially start here on the morning show, all I do is bring bad news. But I promise, it's not what I was aiming to do. It just happened that way. But we'll work on bringing you a better forecast in the next couple of weeks.
You got your work cut out for you.
I'm trying.
All right. Thanks, Chris. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Joplin Outlaws would try to make you think losing is a crime as they steal 8 straight games from their competition. Could they extend that streak against the Merchants? Chris has those details coming up in sports.
Plus, triple-digit temperature heat waves smothering the 4 states right now, and we want to know what you're doing to stay cool during this steamy summer weather.
And someone in the United States needs blood every 2 seconds, but the number of donations dropped during the summer. And now blood centers are asking for your help. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
The Joplin Outlaws have just 5 games left in the regular season. The Outlaws are on a roll right now, winning 7 straight games and giving themselves a 2-game lead for first place in the Mink League South Division. Joplin at home on Monday night, opening up a 2-game set against the Carroll Merchants. At the bottom of the second, Garrett Chun slices one into left. Cade Lott scores. Corey Syracuse, a Pittsburgh State guy, right behind him. Second inning turned out to be a big one for Joplin. Max Bruff fights it off to right. Caden Bressler scores. June also scores. 6 runs in the second for the Outlaws, puts them up 6-0. To the third now, and they keep scoring. Bressler, bouncer to first. He is out, but good enough to get the RBI with Webb City product Matt Woodmansee scoring. Joplin would go on to win 10-7 and extend their winning streak to a red-hot 8 games. Well, Crowder College pitcher Jacob Mizorowski is getting his shot at Major League Baseball. Now, Mizorowski was picked in the 2nd round of the MLB draft, going 63rd overall to the Milwaukee Brewers. He was no doubt one of the best in the country this season. Right-handed redshirt freshman was 10-0 in 15 appearances for Crowder with a 2.72 ERA. He was an All-American and the Region 16 Player of the Year for the Rough Riders, and now Mizorowski is also Crowder's highest drafted player under head coach Travis Lallement. Here he is on getting picked up by the Brewers.
I mean, I couldn't ask for a better organization, better pitching development staff, everyone like that. I'm more than excited to join their team. I can't wait. I can't wait to actually start pitching again and be in a clubhouse again. I mean, couldn't ask for anything better.
You can check out our full story with Mizorowski, including thoughts from Crowder head coach Travis Lallement, on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. To golf, Cameron Smith won the Open Championship on Sunday at St. Andrews. It was all about the back 9 on Sunday for the 28-year-old Australian. He had 6 birdies in the final 9 holes, including 5 straight to start the back 9. He ended up shooting an 8 under 64 in the final round to put him 20 under par for the tournament. That 20 under score ties him for the best score to par in major history. But it was those last few holes that really got him where he wanted to be.
I feel like I can breathe. This last 4 or 5 holes there aren't easy around here, especially with that wind in off the left, and just stuck to what I was doing, and just really proud of how I kind of knuckled down today, and managed to get it done.
The MLB All-Star Game takes place tonight in Los Angeles. Cardinals first baseman Paul Goldschmidt will start at first and hit 4th for the National League squad. Albert Pujols will also be there for St. Louis as a legacy pickup for the game. Here's the 42-year-old Pujols on what is likely his final All-Star Game appearance.
It is my last one, for sure. But really excited, just to be back here at Dodger Stadium last year. Being here for 4.5 months, I had a really great time with this organization last year. So just being back here and just, getting another opportunity to be in the All-Star Game, just to celebrate with my family and friends, just going to be awesome.
Still to come, Europe swelters under record heat temperatures, and the heat is being blamed for widespread wildfires. Plus, we're going to check in on our heat when the KOAM Morning News returns. Well, unfortunately, the heat goes on across the 4 states, and things that we're keeping a lookout on. So today marks day 9 of 100-degree plus temperatures. There may be a stray shower or storm Wednesday for some of our southeastern Kansas counties, but otherwise hot and dry. 2012, by the way, we had 27 days straight of 100-degree temperatures. So talk about insanity. Skywatch Storm Tracker, high and dry. Heat advisory through 8 o'clock for all the counties in orange. And then later on today in northeast Oklahoma, the excessive heat warning will kick back in. 7th and Range line is clear. It's looking pretty decent. Temperatures looking decent right now, too, as we're starting the day at 75. We've got mid-60s to mid-70s as we start our day. And as we get through the day, once the sun comes up, which it will do so at about 6:13 this morning, it's going to give us ample sunshine and ample heat. Sunny skies, temperatures pushing into the lower 100s. The southeast breeze 5 to 10. It'll shift out of the west a little later this afternoon. Temperatures tonight dropping off not by much. We're talking overnight lows about 80 degrees across the 4 states. So unpleasant to say the least. I wish I had better news, but unfortunately, I don't. And we'll go over the long-range forecast and the drought situation a little later on the KOAM Morning News. Well, everyone's looking for ways to cool down in this heat wave. Reporter Joe Baker has more from Wichita.
Kansas continues to see triple-digit temperatures, and the heat isn't going away anytime soon.
Hopefully it cools off soon. I'm tired of it. I don't like when it's too hot like this. It's cool when you go swim and when you get out and stuff like that, but after a while, it gets old.
With these high temperatures, getting a snow cone sounds pretty good.
It feels good. That cool kind of stays with you after it goes down.
As the weather gets hotter, we get busier. Plain and simple. That's just the name of the game. We offer such a cool and refreshing treat that when it's hot out like this, it's something that cools you down a little bit.
Snow cones surely played a part in keeping some people cool Sunday, but some have actively been trying to find ways to stay cool.
Before we came out here today, they were doing water balloons and playing in the little swimming pools, and we do sprinklers, and we did a splash pad yesterday, so finding all the kinds of water we can be cool in.
Pam brought her grandkids out to the snow cone stand, and even in this heat, she says she still wants to do fun things outdoors with her family.
Well, we appreciate places like this that we can come to cool off, to have something different to do than staying at home in the air conditioning.
The average high temperature for this date in southeast Kansas is about 91 degrees, and that's actually taking a look at the almanac, how it stands for us. So now that brings us to our morning talker. Our question, how are you beating the heat? Is it air conditioning, swimming, grabbing some ice cream, fans, all of those things, or maybe something totally different? You can vote, KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. Do so in the KOAM News Now app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are on the rise in the U.S. Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood or platelets, and that's according to the American Red Cross. But every summer, blood donations go way down. To prevent shortages, you're being urged to give. Mandy Gaither has more.
It's that time of year again. As summer heats up, the level of blood donations in the U.S. goes down.
In June alone, we saw a 12% decline in donations, which is very significant and more than we have seen in many, many months.
Summer months are always a struggle for blood collection as travelers head out for vacations, blood drives can't be hosted at schools, and people tend to make less time to donate. The pandemic also hasn't helped, says Rodney Wilson with the American Red Cross.
Lots of factors related to COVID continue to make it hard for us to collect enough blood.
The American Red Cross says whole blood is the most flexible type of donation. It can be transfused in its original form or separated into red cells, plasma, and platelets to help multiple people. It's often given to trauma patients or those having surgery.
The need for blood can come up unexpectedly and very suddenly at any time.
Wilson says more donors of all blood types are needed to prevent typical summer shortages.
On average, the Red Cross needs to collect close to 13,000 blood donations every single day to support patients at 2,500 hospitals across the country.
He says it only takes about an hour of your time to help others.
Anyone interested in donating blood can schedule an appointment at redcrossblood.org or on the American Red Cross Blood Donor app. You can also call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Also, you can give blood at the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks. They're located in Joplin's North Park Mall. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, the Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim involved in a shooting over the weekend.
We're starting off pretty nice this morning, but these temperatures are going to climb rapidly. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And farmers in the 4 states not only have to deal with a heat wave bearing down on the region, but so do their crops. And we take a look at how some local farmers are trying to beat the heat.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. I wish I had good news for folks today, and I just have to be the bearer of bad news, unfortunately. I wanted to back this up real quick, so I wanted to talk quickly about what that is. These are heat advisories for practically everybody. They go into effect again this afternoon. Northeast Oklahoma, this map, just the way it functions, hasn't highlighted it yet, but Northeast Oklahoma will go back under an excessive heat warning this afternoon. The temperatures right now at 7th and Range Line looking decent as we start the day, sitting at about 75 degrees. And that's where everybody is. In fact, we've actually got some, look at this, mid-60s, Iola and Yates Center, and even down in portions of Northeast Oklahoma. But those temperatures are going to rise rapidly this morning into the lower 100s once the sun comes out. By the way, set to do that at 6:13 a.m. Southeast breeze will become, or switching to the west by this afternoon. And overnight, look at this, 80s. For overnight lows, 80s. That is not where we're supposed to be. That is not how it's supposed to be, but that's how it's going to be. We're going to break down the full 7-day forecast. In fact, we're probably going to take a slightly more extended look at the 10-day forecast and show you the grip that this heat wave has on the area.
Oh, that doesn't sound promising. I was hoping to come in this morning and the newest day on the 7-day would now be under 100, but in fact, it's even higher than it was.
Yeah, that's where we sit.
Did you put it at 108?
108 by Monday if everything holds. I mean, we were hoping for some kind of break, but there's just not any relief in sight right now. It's going to be hot, it's going to stay that way, and it's going to stay dry. And it doesn't help our drought situation, doesn't help crops. The only thing it does help is no crazy heat index values, at least. So we're not pushing 115-degree heat index values, but we're dealing with sweltering heat and unpleasant conditions.
So basically you're saying it sounds painful and it's only going to feel like it sounds.
Yeah, which is still painful. Yeah. But it could be worse,
I
suppose. It could
you know
be
what?
worse.
It could be worse. We could have ridiculous humidity on top of it.
If we did, it would be a lot worse.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. As the new school year approaches, Webb City School District is looking to make some changes to its security system. The changes will include more cameras and door sensors intended to help keep students safe.
You know, with things going around the nation, I think it's a time that we can always reflect and improve on, how can we keep our students more safe throughout the school day. So nothing specific, but I think that's something we always need to reflect, see where we're at, and if there's anything we can do to improve our students' experience here and keep them safe while they're doing so.
The school district says it's also updating its system for notifying teachers and staff of potential emergencies. Coming up when the KOAM Morning News transition over to Fox 14, our very own Shagun Bamadali takes a closer look at this story. Well, the heat is causing problems for more than just people. It's also affecting our food supply. KOAM's Yana Hatula spoke with a local family of farmers on how they're keeping their crops alive.
The intense heat is causing problems for farmers this summer. The cornfields are suffering greatly from the weather.
We've done everything we can do. It's Mother Nature that really fell short this year on the rain. And the heat's really been a killer. but those two together have really put a hurting on the corn.
A family of farmers in Cherokee County, Kansas, is keeping their hopes up for their soybean crops.
The early beans, as far as they go, they ran out of moisture a little bit earlier, and they're hurting a little bit worse, but they've still got a lot of potential if we can catch a rain in a week or two. But this next week with 105 degrees is really gonna put a hurting on them. So we'll see how it goes.
The heat is not only drying the crops out, but the weeds as well, which makes it harder to kill them as they don't absorb chemicals that easy. Before the soybeans, the family grew wheat at the same place.
Southeast Kansas, we're in an unusual part of the United States where we have the ability to grow 2 crops in 1 year. We can grow wheat, then we can turn around and plant beans behind that and still capture a bean crop off.
This method helps get the soil more wet than normal, which helps the plants during hot weather.
In a year like this where it's 100 degrees and we haven't had rain for 30 days, that wheat straw acts like a mat and it's covering that ground. The sun's not getting direct sunlight to the ground to help dry it out. So as a farmer, we're doing everything we can to conserve the moisture and protect the environment and do our part against global warming and everything else.
Reporting from Cherokee County, Kansas, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
The Watsons will harvest their soybeans in August.
Taking a look at the forecast, this is what I want to talk to you about too. Drought conditions not improving, not worsening yet. But of course, we're watching this map for updates. A lot of us under the moderately dry conditions. And if you head out further east, they're dealing with severe drought out there. Look at that 7-day forecast. We've got alert days across the board because look at these temperatures. Tomorrow, there may be an isolated shower, perhaps even 2 in southeast Kansas. Otherwise, less than pleasant. Now I'm going to do the big reveal.
Oh.
It's not going anywhere. We are stuck right now in this heat wave, and as you can see, these are triple-digit temperatures all the way across the board. And so that's just why, it's extremely important for people to make sure that they're taking proper precautions when they're outside, and especially for such an extended period. So 2012, we had 27 days of 100-degree temperatures. And today makes day number 9. So we're talking...
But the 27 days weren't all together. We had breaks in those.
Yeah, we may break that chain because we're talking day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 straight days of 100-degree temperatures if this pattern holds, and it's looking like it's got just a grip on the 4 states, and it's not going to let up. So that's why we've got a big question in our morning talker this morning too, an important one.
Yeah. Well, this morning we are discussing how to beat the summer heat. Okay, so the bad news is this heat isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think Chris is getting that into our heads finally. Triple-digit numbers or temperatures will smother the 4-state area for at least this week, and as you can see, next week too. As we've been reporting, cooling stations are popping up in the area for people who have to be out in the heat. Now, swimmers are flooding local pools and swimming holes to try and stay cool. And if you have to get out of the house, you can use ice cream or other frosty treats as a reward. And for everyone, be careful, stay hydrated, keep an eye on your neighbors and pets. That brings us to our question of the day.
Yeah, how are you beating the heat? Are you going, getting in the air conditioning, going swimming, grabbing ice cream? Any of these things. You can vote right now at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote and in the KOAM News Now app. So far, 20% of you say you're doing all of the things that we're asking, and 74% of you are doing the smart thing, doing what I'm doing. You're staying inside in the air conditioning where it's nice and cool. But, your air conditioning is not getting a break. So, again, vote on our website, vote in the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
Oh man, just be safe, whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as you saw, it's not letting go anytime soon.
All right, thanks, Chris. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, the Beastie Boys received some hometown love as the hip-hop trio stamped their name on a piece of Manhattan.
Plus, John Cho and newcomer Mia Isaac star in a road trip movie that's a little different from your usual summer road trip movie. We've got that story.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning We'll be right back. Topping World Watch this week could see Britain's hottest day on record, with high temperatures potentially reaching at least 103 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 30 degrees above normal. The same heat wave is already blamed for extreme temperatures and widespread wildfires across other parts of Europe. Scientists say it's all part of climate change caused by human activity. Roxana Sabiri is tracking Europe's hot weather and the damage it's causing.
Wildfires raging across southwest France have scorched around 35,000 acres and forced more than 16,000 people to flee. In Spain, the scene seemed similarly apocalyptic. Neighboring Portugal remains on high alert after fires were fanned by drought that's hit at least 96% of the country and a heat wave reaching a record of nearly 117 degrees. Here and in Spain, authorities say more than 1,000 people have died from the recent heat. And now Britain is bracing for its record high of at least 103 degrees on Tuesday. So hot, the UK's National Weather Service has issued its first ever red warning for extreme heat, meaning there's a risk to life. Scientists say heat waves have become more frequent and more intense and last longer.
Climate change has everything to do with the extreme weather that we're seeing at the moment, and it's human-induced climate change. It's not a natural variation.
Kirsty McCabe is a meteorologist at the UK's Royal Meteorological Society.
Is weather like this going to become the norm?
Unfortunately, yes, that's exactly where we are heading at the moment. If we don't do something now and take drastic action, we'll continue to see these things happening.
Here in London, people are trying to cool off in any way they can. This country is more used to the rain and clouds than to this kind of heat. In fact, most homes don't have air conditioning, neither do most schools. Some have canceled classes, and people are being told to avoid the trains because the heat could buckle the tracks. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, London.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Ottawa County authorities say their jail was damaged by inmates this weekend because of a pencil. Officials say Sunday evening, 4 inmates got upset over another cell pod that had received a pencil. They say those inmates ended up starting a fire in the rec yard, blocked a door with bunks, and smashed windows. Officials say when those inmates were put into another cell, they broke a hot water line. No one was injured during the incident. Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. The man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin has been identified as Carthage resident 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in that crash. Joplin has opened 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers. They are City Hall at 602 South Main, the Health Department at 321 East 4th, and at the Public Safety Center at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
It's going to be unpleasant as the heat goes on. So today is day 9 of 100-degree plus temperatures. There may be a stray shower, possibly a rumble of thunder in southeast Kansas tomorrow. It's going to be very isolated. 2012, we had 27 days of 100-degree temperatures. Skywatch Storm Tracker is not going to be very busy for the next several days. Orange is heat advisories that go in effect later this afternoon, run until 8. Northeast Oklahoma will go back under an excessive heat warning. It will also run till 8. As the sun starts to rise, it's very pretty, but unfortunately, it's going to do a lot for our temperature. 75 in Joplin right now. Most of us, we've got mid-60s to mid-70s across the board. And as the sun comes up, check it out. 102 for an afternoon high, lower 100s for everybody. Not cooling off at all tonight either, though, as we go into the 80s for overnight lows. The future track, I really don't have anything to show you other than the temperatures continuing to rise. And a quick look at the 7-day forecast. Look at this. Alert days all the way through Saturday because these temperatures are going to be extreme and they're going to carry on into next week as well. We've got more on your forecast, drought conditions, and more of the latest news when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Like it. Beastie Boys and Julia Roberts each received major new honors.
Rick Damigella has that and more in the Hollywood Minute.
Beastie Boys get immortalized in NYC. The New York City Council voted to name a Manhattan intersection after the legendary hip-hop group. After a nearly decade-long grassroots campaign, fans will soon get to make a stop at Beastie Boys Square. Julia Roberts receives a major honor. The actress will be given the Icon Award at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures Gala. The trophy celebrates an artist whose career has had a significant global cultural impact and will be handed out on October 15th. Andrew Garfield's billion-dollar new role. The Oscar-nominated actor is set to play billionaire entrepreneur Richard Branson in an upcoming limited series. The 6-part show is titled Hot Air and focuses on British Airways' attempt to ruin Branson's Virgin Atlantic in the 1990s. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be summer without road trips and at least one road trip movie.
But in the new film, Don't Make Me Go, all is not as it seems in more ways than one.
David Daniel has a look.
There's one option, but the operation is risky.
So when you having the surgery?
I don't know. How do I tell my daughter? I'm kind of it for her.
John Cho plays a single dad who plans a road trip with his daughter without telling her he's dying in Don't Make Me Go.
I will be miserable the entire time.
I will teach you to drive on the way. If you have a good attitude for real, I'll let you get behind the wheel.
If you promise to never do that again, ever.
I will never ever do it again.
Get out!
Director Hannah Marks shot the film in New Zealand, where Cho was making another show during the pandemic.
It's an American road trip movie in the summer, shot in New Zealand's winter. But John is worth it. John is an incredible actor. He can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do action, he can do sci-fi, he can do musicals.
Living without COVID at that time and being able to freely express intimacy and touch and hug, and I think that really added something to the film that that it was safe.
I bet on you. I want you for my whole life.
Newcomer Mia Isaac plays his daughter.
She just blew us all away. She was amazing in the auditions and then kept growing and getting better and better every single day.
We met about a week before we started shooting, actually in person for the first time, and so I think it was great that we kind of were able to fall into the relationship naturally.
You have a fire inside you, Wally. Life is gonna pull some moves to try and put it out. Trust yourself.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A great movie to take your daughter to and go see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to ask you though, when you learned how to drive, I know it was several years ago, but did you close your eyes?
No, I most certainly didn't. My eyes were very wide open, and I think the first thing I learned about driving was cars are a lot heavier than they seem. Like, not just accelerating or braking, but steering. Mm-hmm. It took a lot of effort to turn, more effort, I should say, to turn the steering wheel than I anticipated. So I was making some semi-truck turns when I first started because I didn't realize it. I mean, power steering is one thing, but when you first turn that wheel, that's something tough to do. I do like in that they mentioned that they met like a week before they started filming. That'd be, imagine if you and I had only met a week before we started working together, just once.
Then we'd have
I'm Chris.
A lot of
You're
awkward
Tanya.
silence.
Yeah, we would not be talking to each other right now. Great movies, man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Man.
Followed by that. Mm-hmm.
I met you back in 2005, so
yeah,
it's been a few moons.
A little bit, just a wee bit.
Yeah,
it's been a heck of a journey too.
All right. Well, we'll be back with another look at your forecast right after this.
I'm smiling because we're having a good time this morning, but unfortunately, we're not going to have a good time weather-wise. Let's recap real quick. Today, day 9. You don't want to know this, but you need to know this. Day 9 of 100-degree plus temperatures, maybe a stray shower or a rumble of thunder in southeast Kansas, and I mean, it would be maybe 1 or 2 of these by tomorrow. 2012, we had 27 days of 100-degree temperatures. If this streak holds, by the way, we're going to be at, what was it, Ron, we counted up to? 18 days by next week. Heat advisories go into effect for the counties in orange this afternoon. They run till 8, and just the way this map works, they're not highlighted yet. Northeast Oklahoma excessive heat warning goes back into effect this afternoon as well and runs until 8. The sun is rising, and what he doesn't know is it is about to torture us. So enjoy this while we got it. 75 in Joplin right now. Most of us in the mid-60s to mid-70s, so a good spattering of temperatures as we start the day. Everybody's going to get in on this. I wish I didn't have to say that, but everybody is. Temperatures going into the lower 100s, a southeast breeze from 5 to 10. It'll shift to the west by this afternoon. And then we're not cooling off. 80-degree overnight temperatures. Future track does show that, yeah, it's going to be hot. Maybe a stray cloud or two. Again, maybe a stray shower or two as we head into tonight and early tomorrow. And then the heat definitely makes a comeback, which is not going to help our drought situation, which I wanted to go over real quick. And I just skipped right through that. But as you can see, a lot of us in the moderate area, and we've also got some dry, and out to our east, they are dealing with severe drought. We'll break down the complete 7-day forecast and more on this situation when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Coming up, the Ottawa County Jail is damaged by inmates, all thanks to a pencil.
Plus, while dry heat means no crazy heat index values, that dryness also contributing to drought conditions, the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Southeast Kansas gets one step closer to having a shelter for victims of domestic abuse.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Wanted to make sure we had everything in place as I can see what I've got going on. It's going to be hot, and that's really about the gist of the forecast, but there is some stuff to break down. Right now, though, the sun is rising. It is set to officially do so in about 13 minutes, I guess 12 and a half minutes if you want to get technical. 7th range line, you can see it there, starting to slowly come up. 75 degrees in Joplin, most of us sitting in the mid-60s to mid-70s, and temperatures will climb rapidly as the sun comes out into the lower 100s today. And unfortunately, we're now into that point of the pattern too where it's not going to cool off tonight. We're talking 80-degree overnight lows, which is not going to be pleasant. There may be a stray shower or two overnight into tomorrow. Really, though, most of us, practically all of us, are going to stay dry. We're going to stay hot, and we're going to stay unpleasant, as you can see on the future track, temperatures continuing into the lower 100s. We did mention the drought situation. It's not getting any better. In fact, from here, I'm concerned it's only going to get worse. And on that 7-day forecast, alert days through Saturday, because those temperatures pushing into the lower 100s. And the scarier part is the 10-day forecast. This heat wave has got a hold of us. And it's not going to let go. It's a dry heat, so no crazy heat index values. But as we mentioned with the Drought Tracker, that dry heat also means there's no humidity, which means crops are suffering. It means your yard is suffering. And it also means it's just going to be plain old hot. Mm-hmm. Lower 100s as heat index values are dangerous. Lower 100s as just straight up temperatures, also very dangerous.
You definitely want to check on your neighbors, check on your pets. Make sure that everyone is getting taken care of. Stay
cool and stay hydrated for sure. And as you can see, though, we're talking for the next several days before this thing starts to maybe let up.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, the Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. The man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin is identified as Carthage resident 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in this crash. Ottawa County authorities say their jail was damaged by inmates over the weekend because of a pencil. Now, officials say Sunday night, 4 inmates got upset over another cell pod that received a pencil. They say those inmates ended up starting a fire in the rec yard, blocked a door with bunks, and smashed windows. Officials say when the inmates were put into another cell, they broke a hot water line. No one was injured during the incident. Southeast Kansas is one step closer to getting a new emergency shelter for victims of domestic abuse. Hope Unlimited A domestic abuse nonprofit in Iola plans to build the shelter with help from a program that awards tax credits for donations to nonprofit groups in the state. The shelter will serve people in Allen, Anderson, Neosho, and Woodson counties.
Ideally, in the new shelter, we will have bigger, larger spaces like for kids and support groups and things like that. We'll also have a place for our therapists to be, so they will not have to leave to go to the mental health center to have therapy. They can actually do therapy right there.
More than $4 million from the program will be split among 29 nonprofit organizations. Big Brother Big Sisters of Pittsburgh is teaming up with Drop the H for an event for the kids and their mentors to have a night where they learn how to make pizza. They got a chance to make their own pizza and they all enjoyed it together.
It's a blessing for us to be part of a community that has given us so much joy, and it's nice to be able to return the favor.
Big Brother Big Sisters is a nonprofit and was founded in 1904. Well, Joplin has opened 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers. Those are City Hall at 602 South Main, the Health Department 321 East 4th, and the Public Safety Center at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Number 1, stay out of the heat if at all possible. Number 2, if you have to be out, make it as short a time as possible. Stay hydrated, get some good electrolytes into you, find some air conditioning as best you can.
For more tips on how to stay safe in the heat, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Miami Public Library will also serve as a cooling station. The library is open through the week, during the day, and also Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's closed on Sundays. Also, to find a cooling station near you, you can go to our website or download our mobile app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Today, back in the year 1799, the Rosetta Stone is found. Although there is some debate about the exact date on what was likely July 19th, 1799. During Napoleon Bonaparte's Egyptian campaign, a French soldier discovered a black basalt slab inscribed with ancient writing near the town of Rosetta, about 35 miles east of Alexandria. The irregularly shaped stone contained fragments of passages written in 3 different scripts: Greek, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and Egyptian demonic. The ancient Greek on the Rosetta Stone told archaeologists that it was inscribed by priests honoring the king of Egypt, Ptolemy V, in the 2nd century BC. More startlingly, though, the Greek passage announced all 3 scripts were identical meaning. The artifact thus held the key to solving the riddle of hieroglyphics, a written language that had been dead for nearly 2,000 years. I never really knew the story of the Rosetta Stone.
No, I didn't either, and it's certainly an interesting story to find out. And it's
because I just thought that was like a brand that you could like partake in to learn another language.
But
this makes
that's
sense.
why.
This
That's
is
why it's a brand to partake to learn another
dating
language.
back to 1799.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, you got to have a good key cipher for languages too. So that's certainly helpful to have the Rosetta Stone.
Really cool.
Yeah, extremely cool. That's not our temperatures though, except for right now. This morning we're starting in the mid 60s to mid 70s, and it's going to heat up fast. Temperatures pushing the lower 100s by this afternoon under sunny skies, and no relief tonight as temperatures only dip back down into the 80s for overnight lows. So unpleasant to say the least.
Yeah, somehow we're still trying to decipher that. We need a
Yeah, I think we need a good key to try and figure out why we are getting cooked.
We're not on the same page with Mother Nature right now, and we need a Mother Nature version of the Rosetta Stone to get her.
Yeah, see if we can come to an understanding.
We want temperatures in the 70s.
We need some rain, if anything else. I mean, fine, you want to cook us, bring us some rain so we're not completely baked. But
there you go. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the SEK Humane Society stops by with a gentle giant for you to make a pet connection with.
Plus, a family out on a boat gets a surprise they won't ever forget.
And how B6 may help out with your anxiety and depression. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
A huge surprise for an Alabama family participating in the state's deep-sea fishing rodeo Saturday. A whopper of a ray landing in their boat. Kelly Foster has more.
Take a look at this spotted eagle ray that landed in the family boat of April Jones, and what a scary surprise it was.
Very scared. Very scared. Not only the fact that we have this wild creature in our boat, but we didn't know what, we couldn't get her out, and the boat's not very big, so she was kind of weighing the back of the boat down.
It happened near the Dolphin Island Lighthouse.
My son said he thought it was a shark at first because we didn't know, and my husband's papa thought it was a shark too because, that's what there were a lot of sharks around.
As soon as it hit him, he felt his face to see if he was bleeding.
It was about 5 foot wide and weighed a whopping 400 pounds.
The stingray just flounced around in the back of the boat, and we couldn't get her out.
After the family screamed the whole way back to the dock, they discovered she wasn't alone.
When they were getting her out of the boat, they found there were 4 babies that had passed away. I'm assuming they were just, with her being in stress, that she delivered them early.
It had crushed fishing poles and even swiped April when it landed on the boat.
I ended up getting hit on the right half of my body, and I had to go to the emergency room last night where I got a strained muscle in my shoulder.
The Dolphin Island Sea Lab told her it was a 1 in a million chance for this to happen, and she found out some other cool facts about the spotted eagle ray.
Her spots on her are just unique to her, and they're almost like your fingerprint on your finger. Her spots are just for her. You ever see the stingray, you can identify them if it's the one you've seen before by their spots.
The spotted eagle ray babies were brought to the Dolphin Island Sea Lab. Spotted eagle ray was released back into the water. Water is what you're going to need today with the forecast. It is unpleasant at best, and that's really the only way to describe it. Everybody in orange, which is almost all of us. Heat advisories kicking in this afternoon, running until 8 tonight. Northeast Oklahoma will go back under an excessive heat warning as well, which will also run until 8. No excessive heat to deal with yet. 75 in Joplin as the sun is set to rise actually right about now. We're sitting in the mid-60s to mid-70s across the board. All of us getting in, unfortunately, on this action. Temperatures heading into the lower 100s. We got to do a little southeast breeze, 5 to 10. It'll become west later on. And then we're not going to cool off at all tonight. Temperatures getting back into the 80s, maybe the upper 70s as we head into the overnight hours. The future track, the only thing it can really show you is some passing clouds and temperatures soaring into the lower 100s. We may see a stray shower, possibly 2, in southeast Kansas. Otherwise, we are hot, we are dry, we are miserable, and that dry situation is doing nothing for our drought conditions. As you can see, points out east by West Plains still dealing with severe drought. The rest of us in abnormally dry to moderately dry conditions, and it's only going to get worse because take a look at the 7-day. We've got alert days all the way through Saturday, temperatures in the lower 100s as we head into next week. The dry heat means the heat index values will not be excessively crazy, but it's not good for farmers. It's not good for crops. It's not good in general. I want to give you, I've got 2 seconds. It's not going anywhere, unfortunately. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back. We have quite the guest joining us this morning. Of course, Jasmine's joining us here from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, and this gentle giant, Mason.
Yeah, so as you can see, Mason is a very big boy, but a happy boy. So Mason is a 3-year-old male. He is a Great Dane Greyhound mix. So height of your Great Dane and the body build of a Greyhound. We have had Mason, he was just at a PetSense event the last weekend. He is fantastic with kids, great with other dogs, doesn't seem to mind cats. So really, he's looking for almost any household at this point. He is already neutered, microchipped, and up to date on vaccinations too. Right now, a lot of shelters are at full capacity, including our very own. So thanks to some amazing support from the Best Friends Animal Society, this weekend, so this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 22nd through the 24th, we are waiving all adoption fees.
Awesome.
That goes for not only dogs, but that goes for cats too, across the board. That way we can remove as many barricades as possible. Now we are still doing our application process, so if you got a landlord, make sure to let them know we're calling, because we have to do landlord checks. If you have another dog, meet and greets are required. We always want to make sure that we get a gauge the interaction between these two dogs that have never met before. So if you've been thinking about looking to add another family member into your household and you already have a dog, make sure to bring them. We can do a meet and greet in our dog park.
All right, yeah, that's great. Definitely you want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially too if you have kids. You know, I know for some parents it can get a little, well, do I want to get them too excited? Always bring the kids is what we recommend, because the kids are just as important of a household member as anybody in the household. So
do you guys still offer the opportunity to check out animals?
Yes, we do. So that's one of the things that you could do that day. All we require is that, you know, you have a valid license, you're 18 years or older, can legally drive, no 16-year-old driving up to walk dogs, but you can actually check them out for a few hours, and you can go to get a pup cup at Starbucks or Freddy's, or go on a nature walk at Wilderness Park in Frontenac. That is absolutely fine. We are also still continuing our foster to adopt.
Right.
So for example, if you're a little hesitant this weekend or wanting some more time, you can absolutely foster to adopt the interested animal that you want to adopt at our location. Not only will you get more time with them, but that following weekend, we will honor that $0 adoption fee too, because you are giving them a break. So no matter what, if it doesn't work, they got out, they got some much needed enrichment and a break from the organization, and they got to have some couch snuggles and some extra pets too.
Mm-hmm. This is such a pretty dog.
He is.
Yes.
He's gorgeous. He knows how to.
So well behaved too.
Yes, he's a gentle giant. He really, really is.
He wants to lick my face, but he's being nice.
So he knows how to sit on command. He will shake for you as well. But we have lots of other dogs at our facility. We're especially full on canines. So that is Mr. Benji. As you can see, he is a 3-year-old cattle dog mix.
Aww.
He is a very sweet boy, relatively new to our shelter. But when you think cattle dog, he is the one that will come to my mind, honestly. We also have Cooper. Oh my goodness. So Cooper's been with us for a few years, but as you can see, he's a water boy. He loves his pool. If Cooper has his pool for the day, he's got a fantastic day ahead of him. Does great with other female dogs, but looking for a household with no male dogs. Miss Dixie, she is a lab husky mix, has the biggest smile. She is an incredibly sweet soul at our shelter. Looking for a household that will be able to exercise her and play with her many, many times throughout the day.
Okay. One of the event that you guys are working on coming up in the future, near future, the Bark in the Park.
Yes, coming up in October. So Bark in the Park is going to be at Schlanger Park this year. And during that event, it's for 4 hours. We'll have vendors on site. We have free dog training classes for the public, all free of charge. We have a community pack walk event. We'll have our own adoption event this year, as well as some fun brand new activities that we'll be sharing here in the future too. But we're just so excited to be back into our community after the 2-year pandemic. We know we have a long road ahead of us, especially with everybody recovering and most shelters at full capacity. But just like with our community and just like our animals during these past few years, we're taking it one step at a time and making sure that these guys are covered no matter what.
All right. Well, hopefully we can find Mason a new home. If you don't mind sticking around.
Yeah.
We've got this unbearable heat out there, and I know it's affecting our animals as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk to you about some pointers that you have for keeping your dogs safe and cooled off in this heat.
Love to.
All right. We will be right back.
Most young people who drink do it socially. Topping Health Watch this morning, a new study finding that drinking alone can foreshadow troubles ahead. Harvey Biggs explains.
When teenagers and young adults drink alone, it could be a big warning sign for future problems with alcohol. A new study from Carnegie Mellon University looks at the dangers of solitary drinking. Researchers followed about 4,500 adolescents starting at age 18 and tracked them for 17 years. They found the odds of developing alcoholism by age 35 were 35% higher for adolescents who drank alone and 60% higher for young adults compared to those who drank only in social settings. Casey Creswell was the study's lead author and says the risk was especially high for adolescent women.
the odds were 86% higher that they would have alcohol use disorder symptoms at age 35. So these young people are drinking because they feel depressed or stressed out or anxious or lonely. And we think developing that problematic relationship with alcohol puts them at risk for increasing their drinking and developing problems later.
Creswell recommends parents speak to their teenagers about better coping mechanisms.
Getting outside and getting some exercise, talking to a trusted family member or friend about how they're feeling, doing meditation. There's lots of healthy ways to cope with these negative emotions.
The study also found the pandemic has fueled the problem. Along with the increase in depression and anxiety, solitary drinking has been on the rise. Harvey Biggs, CBS News, New York.
The legalization of recreational marijuana led to an increase in traffic crashes and fatalities, according to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Researchers looked at 5 states that allow the use of recreational pot and found a 5.8% increase in the rate of injuries from crashes. Fatal crashes jumped more than 4% after the start of retail sales of marijuana. The study includes data from Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada. Taking B6 supplements may reduce anxiety and depression. British researchers studied the impact of high doses of the vitamin on young adults and found they reported feeling less anxious and depressed after taking the tablets every day for a month. Study authors believe the supplement helps balance chemicals in the brain, which can inhibit certain impulses, leading to a calming effect for some patients. Avoiding too much salt is key to a healthy heart, but new research shows cutting back too much might actually worsen heart conditions for some. The new study, published in the journal Heart, looked at patients suffering from heart failure. Those who used some salt in their home cooking as opposed to none were less likely to be admitted to the hospital. Black patients and those under the age of 70 were most likely to benefit from adding salt to their cooking. Let's look at today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. As you can see behind me, we're starting relatively pleasantly, mid-60s to mid-70s, but all of us getting in on the heat action as the temperatures rise through the day, highs pushing into the lower 100s. Yeah, lower 100s, and it's not going to change. Overnight, we're not going to cool off much either. We're talking upper 70s and lower 80s for overnight lows as we go through the night. Future track doesn't show us much other than some passing clouds. There may be an isolated shower, maybe 2 in southeast Kansas, but there's not going to be widespread, and they're not going to do anything for the temperatures. And a quick look at the 7-day alert days all the way through Saturday, because these temperatures are not going to get any better for the next 7 days under hot, dry, sunny conditions. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, the Ottawa County Jail is damaged by inmates over jealousy of a pencil.
Plus, as the sun begins to rise, there it is. It's going to bring some excessive heat. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Southeast Kansas community gets one step closer to having a shelter for victims of domestic abuse.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It is going to be another hot one today. So if you're out and about this early in the morning, enjoy it while it's here, because it's going to get hot. 7th and Range line, it looks nice, and that's the thing, is it looks nice outside, but it is not going to stay that way. It's nice right now though. 75 degrees is where we sit in Joplin, all of us in the mid-60s to mid-70s. And as we progress through the day, all of us getting in on this heat. Temperatures hitting into the lower 100s under mostly sunny skies. Maybe a stray shower or 2 in southeast Kansas overnight. Otherwise, all of us pretty much staying dry. Temperatures not dropping back much either. I mean, look at this. We're talking upper 70s, lower 80s for overnight lows as we progress through the night. And the forecast, unfortunately, does not get any better for the foreseeable future. It's not helping our drought conditions, and these temperatures aren't going to let up. So we will talk. Actually, you know, since I got a couple of seconds, let me press a couple of buttons. This is the Drought Tracker, and as you can see right now, as it stands, we've got a lot of abnormally dry, and we've got a good chunk of the area under moderate drought conditions. And out to the east by West Plains, they're dealing with severe drought. My concern is based on the forecast right now in the long range, that severe drought situation may continue to expand further west into our area. So it's something we'll have to monitor. And of course, I know Farmers are monitoring that very closely, and of course my front yard's monitoring the situation very closely as well, because we haven't had any rain. We've seen rain, but it's not been enough whatsoever.
Well, and a big problem is too, a lot of crops here rely on that moisture, that rain, and that's something they could get from irrigation, but they don't typically need that here because we usually get the rain and we're not getting it. So.
Right, and even with some humidity, at least the crops would get some kind of moisture, and the humidity levels are going to be so low that there's not going to be any moisture out there to work with. So,
yeah, it's not fun.
It's going to be a rough situation for sure for the next several days.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Ottawa County authorities say their jail was damaged by inmates over the weekend because of a pencil. Officials say Sunday evening, 4 inmates got upset over another cell pod that had received a pencil. They say those inmates ended up starting a fire in the rec yard, blocked a door with bunks, and smashed windows. Officials say when those inmates were put into another cell, they broke a hot water line. No one was injured during the incident. Joplin Police Department releases the name of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. The man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin is identified as Carthage resident 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in the crash. Big Brother Big Sisters of Pittsburgh teams up with Drop the H for an event for the kids and their mentors to have a night where they learned to make pizza. Each person got a chance to make their own pizza, and they all enjoyed it together.
It's a fun event. Not only is it exciting for them, but it gets the kids out in the community, meeting business owners, works on their social skills, allows them to meet other kids and other bigs. So,
Big Brother Big Sisters is a nonprofit and was founded in 1904. Joplin has opened 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers, and those are City Hall at 602 South Main, the Health Department 321 East 4th, and at the Public Safety Center at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So many times it's nice when you can get out of the heat and just step inside of a building, maybe get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, rest up for 15-20 minutes, and then go back out.
For more tips on how to stay safe in the heat, you can head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Miami Public Library will also serve as a cooling station. The library is open through the week during the day and also on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is closed on Sundays. Also, to find a cooling station near you, you can go to our website or download our mobile app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. A domestic abuse counseling center in Iola, Kansas was one of the recipients of a statewide tax credit program by the State Department of Commerce. KOAM's Amber Jenkins explains how the program will help the center.
Hope Unlimited is an abuse counseling center created by concerned citizens of Iola. This nonprofit organization provides victim assistance to rural southeast Kansas. Although Hope Unlimited never turns away a person in need, they are in need of a better shelter.
What we learned during COVID was our shelter was not large enough to allow for social distancing, and it became very clear that something needed to be done because we had to go in and remove the bunk beds and make single beds, so that diminished our capacity.
The shelter is mostly funded by the federal government through grants. Grants subsidized by criminals, not taxpayers.
We are lucky, like when people are saying, well, we want to make sure my taxpayer dollars are being well used, and we're able to say, we actually are getting the criminals to pay for these programs or the seizures from criminal actions. We're able to say these really are being paid for by those people that have committed some of those crimes.
Kansas Governor Laura Kelly awarded 29 nonprofit organizations tax credits to boost their fundraising for programs improving their community. After years of applying, Hope Unlimited is one of the 29 profits awarded in the tax credit program.
We're small. So we recognize that lots of big communities get this but we, that smaller towns sometimes get a little overlooked.
Kansas tax credit will give donors more bang for their buck. Qualified donors in rural communities will receive 70% of tax credit when they file their state taxes. Hope Unlimited will use tax credit programs to build a second shelter for victims.
If we're not here and we can't address all the needs and the capacity that we need to, where are they going to go? It's an hour away to the nearest resources. So we want to make sure that we can adequately serve the population in a way that they feel safe and cared for.
In Iola, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The shelter will serve people in Allen, Anderson, Neosho, and Woodson counties. Today, back in 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention begins at the Wesleyan Chapel in Seneca Falls, New York. A women's rights convention, the first ever held in the United States, convenes with almost 200 women in attendance. The convention was organized by Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, two abolitionists who met at the 1840 World Anti-Slavery Convention in London. As women, Mott and Stanton were barred from the convention floor, and the common indignation that this aroused in both of them was the impetus for the finding of the women's rights movement in the United States. Trying to figure out what that said.
That's all right. Sometimes, the copy we get's a little bit strange because people at this hour are just half awake and, they write what they can as they can, and that's what they get, so.
Okay.
I run into it on the week. I ran into it on the weekends a lot too. Sometimes I get stories from our national feeds like that, and I wouldn't catch it initially, and I'd get out and start reading it and be like, okay, did they fall asleep while they were writing this?
I just assumed it was your stuff since you produced your own show, so then it was what you were writing, and then later reading it, you realized you were asleep when you were writing it.
No, I'm talking at the national level. We're always awake here.
We never sleep.
Never, ever.
I don't know what that word means.
Sleeping is for just, lazy
weak
folks. Yeah, no. Sleeping's for the weak. Only the strong.
Please get sleep. Sleep is very important.
Sleep
Sleep
really
is very important.
I got some good sleep last night, so that's
good.
a plus. So.
Figuring out how to do that.
Heat advisories kick in this afternoon. They run until 8 o'clock tonight, and Northeast Oklahoma goes back under an excessive heat warning until 8 as well this afternoon. We'll break down the full forecast here in just a little bit.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, lawyers for Elon Musk and Twitter head to court today. We'll have the details.
Plus, it's really hot in the 4 states, and unfortunately, it's not slated to get any better. Today, we want to know what, if anything, you're doing to beat the heat. We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, lawyers representing Elon Musk and Twitter are due to appear in a Delaware courtroom today. The social media firm is suing to force Musk to make good on his offer to buy it for $44 billion. Yesterday, Twitter asked the court for an expedited trial that would start in September. Musk attorneys said they need more time to digest the complex issues surrounding the case. Netflix announces its second quarter earnings today. The video streaming giant had earlier this year forecast it would likely lose 2 million subscribers between April and June. The decline would be the worst in the company's history. Netflix recently unveiled plans to offer a reduced cost service that will include advertising. Not a fan of that myself. Netflix is my favorite though. The rising economic uncertainty is reportedly prompting Apple to cut costs and slow hiring in some divisions. According to Bloomberg, the belt-tightening is not an official corporate policy. It described Apple's caution as notable due to its track record of weathering past downturns. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Chris for our Something to Talk About.
Well, this morning, we're discussing how to beat the summer heat. I've got bad news. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Triple-digit temperatures going to smother our area through this week and potentially even through next week. As we've been reporting, cooling stations are popping up in the area for people who have to be out in the heat. Swimmers flooding local pools and swimming holes to try and stay cool. And if you have to get out of the house, use ice cream or any other frosty treat as a reward. And for everyone, you got to be careful. You got to stay hydrated and keep an eye on your neighbors and pets. So that brings us to our morning talker. What are you doing to beat the heat? You've got the choices of air conditioner, swimming, grabbing some ice cream, fans, other, or all of the above. So far, 12% of you say all of these things. 74% of you saying you're going for the air conditioning. Swimming and grabbing some ice cream also ranking up there, as well as some extra fans. Remember, you can vote KOAMNewsNow.com/vote in the KOAM News Now app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, let's go ahead and check in with Tony and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, our Earth 365 series gives us a lesson in recycling. You know that plastic film? You're supposed to keep it separate from other household recyclables. We'll explain. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Donald Mosbaugh. Master Chief Corpsman Mosbaugh served in the Navy from 1965 to 1966 and then again in 1990. He served in Vietnam with the 1st Marine Division and then with the Navy Fleet Hospital in Iraq during Desert Storm. He also served in the Marines. During his service, he earned the Meritorious Service Medal, the Armed Forces Reserve Medal, and several Good Conduct Medals. A native of Joplin, Missouri, we thank you, today's four-state hero, Donald Mosbaugh.
It is now time to celebrate some birthdays this morning. And we are beginning with Bristol Jade Hensley in Nevada, turning 6 today. Happy birthday, Bristol.
Digging those pants. Those are super cool.
They are very cool.
All right, we'll head all the way out to Independence for Anastasia Hoosier's 9th birthday, and that's how she's staying cool, double-fisting it with the ice cream and yummy treats and all that fun stuff.
We've also got Hunter Garrison turning 11 in Joplin today. Hunter, a very happy birthday to you. I hope you enjoy this special day.
All right, in Pittsburgh, Addie Bettiga is 11 years old this year. Hope you have a wonderful birthday, Addie.
We've also got Cleet Keller turning 17 in McCune. Now, Cleet was actually celebrating yesterday. It's like we've said before, though, since we're announcing it today, it means you get 2 birthdays. Double the ice cream, double the cake, but more importantly, double that ice cream. Happy birthday, Cleet.
Yeah. And also celebrating today and yesterday, Emily Meyer, who's now 20 years old. What a beautiful picture there of Emily.
We've also got Joshua Daniels turning 32 in Mound Valley. A great catch there, Joshua. A very happy birthday to you.
All right, hanging out on the kayak, doing some fishing, I see.
Another good way to stay cool.
Yeah. And Jeremy Keller, celebrating birthday number 43 this year. Hope you have a great one, Jeremy, in McCune.
Heading over to Parsons, Rob Monty turning 49 years old today. A very happy birthday. Oh, hey, check this one out, though. Rob Monty is celebrating with someone very special.
Oh, Robin Baker, who obviously is 49 as well because they're twins, both of them in Parsons. Although I did notice that Rob's picture was on the water.
Well, Rob's out there staying cool, but see, Robin's indoors where the air conditioning is doing all the work for us. See, that's not working harder, that's working smarter.
So true, so true. All right, happy birthday to Robin, and happy birthday going out to Bill Roark, who is 82 this year. Check out that. It's one way to transport the deer.
That might be the fastest and easiest way to do that.
I like that picture, that's pretty cool.
We've got an anniversary out in Farlington, Kansas, the 14th anniversary for Mr. and Mrs. Kevin and Mindy Schutbach.
Oh, I have to say this every time that Kevin celebrates a birthday or an anniversary, and you know, Mr. Schutbach actually sold me my first car here in the 4 states.
No kidding.
Yeah, many moons ago. All right, what a wonderful, looks like they're on like a train.
I do believe that is a train, so that's a good way to also beat the heat.
All right, pretty cool. All right, happy anniversary to Kevin and Mindy. And let's see, a happy anniversary going out to Jim and Judy Burns, celebrating 31 years together. They're in Erie, Kansas.
And we're heading off to Columbus for the 40th anniversary of Tim and Jeanette Crane. A very happy anniversary to the both of you. 40 years, that's quite a milestone.
All right. I bet the air is cooler up there too. All right, let's see.
Check out this guy.
Oh, very own.
Looks so familiar. I've seen him somewhere around here before.
Our very own Lance Benning with our Phase 3 digital program celebrating a birthday today. We'll keep the actual age in the wraps.
Well, and of course, he's also hosting our KOAM podcast, too.
That's right.
The current one is with Dow Quick behind the desk. He had one with Doug Hetty not long before, so make sure you check it out because Lance is doing a phenomenal job with that.
Hey, maybe you'll be on the list soon.
I don't think they want me on the list. I think that's why I've not been on the list, so... You don't want to hear me ramble on for an hour or two.
I don't know. You're a wealth of knowledge, Chris.
I'm a wealth of something.
All right, our birthday list goes on. We've got Charles Martin celebrating birthday number 81 in Columbus. Buzz Gordonier is 87 in Miami. And we've got an anniversary in Joplin. You take it, Chris.
CJ and Harley Gaza are celebrating their 4th anniversary in Joplin with many more yet to come.
All right, if you have a birthday or an anniversary, please submit them to us at birthdayswithans@KOAMTV.com or birthdays@KOAMNewsNow.com. Email and log online.
While you're there, you've got to do the second most important thing to actually submitting a birthday or anniversary. It's joining the KOAM Birthday Club. You can do so by going to our website and signing up. Great deals from local businesses. Again, KOAMNewsNow.com. Sign up for the Birthday Club today. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, we'll take you on a tour of the Miller Mansion here in Pittsburgh. Well, more like we'll tag along with our very own Carrie Worthen, who went on a tour of it. You can come take the tour with us, but only if you switch over with us to Fox 14.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Ottawa County authorities say their jail was damaged by inmates over the weekend because of a pencil. Officials say Sunday evening 4 inmates got upset over another cell pod that had received a pencil. They say those inmates ended starting a fire in the rec yard, blocked a door with bunks and smashed windows. Officials say when those inmates were put into another cell, they then broke a hot water line. No one was injured during the incident. Joplin Police Department has released the name of the victim from a weekend shooting. Early Saturday, officers arrived at 35th and Finley Avenue to find 34-year-old Gregory Hallstrom of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He was originally listed in critical condition. No word on whether that has changed. Authorities are still investigating the shooting. The man who died from an early Saturday morning crash near Grand Falls in Joplin has been identified as Carthage resident 19-year-old Keenan Reed. 2 other people were injured in the crash. Joplin has opened 3 downtown buildings as cooling centers. They are at City Hall at 602 South Main, the Health Department at 321 East 4th, and at the Public Safety Center at 303 East 3rd Street. Those centers will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Heat advisories go back into effect for Southwest Missouri, Southeast Kansas. They'll run through 8. An excessive heat warning returns, by the way, for Northeast Oklahoma. They'll go until 8. Temperatures soaring into the lower 100s today and staying that way for the foreseeable future.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making taco casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Ahead, Changing the Game series. Meet the powerhouse women in the world of sports who are making history as head trainers in the NBA and MLS.
All right, or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14 where your only local morning news continues. And this morning we've got Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society stopping back by our studio to talk more about the cute animals and this one gentle giant that she's got in studio with us today.
Oh yeah, he is a gentle giant. Plus, how Breaking Bad is causing some controversy in Albuquerque. That's going to wrap it up for us now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it all again today at noon.